Marie whakalawalahi atu. Welcome to Talanoa Sa'o Friday Night Live. It is my distinct pleasure to welcome you into tonight's episode. So thank you so much for joining us. Without further ado, let me bring in my co-host. This is Liao Tilsley. Liao, how are you? Talofa.
Talofa, I am nice and warm.
How are you? Wow.
Yeah, it's very cold.
You look like you got one of those little... is that the child?
Udi, yeah.
Have you got the child on?
Yeah, no, it's a Mandalorian. Yeah, the little...
Grogu, or whatever.
Pink, rainbow awesome. Dinosaur one.
Okay, awesome. Well, so glad you could be here with us. We do have, of course, Fuiawai Lili ala Lima. He may be joining us later on. He's been doing a bit of a fast, so he's had to, he's breaking that fast right now. So we'll see if he can jump in there. It'd be awesome to see him here as well. Now, let's get started the way we should always do. Liao, would you like to maybe give us a quick prayer just to start us off?
Yeah, privilege. Lord, thank you so much that we can come before you tonight. We thank you that you are still on the throne. You're still in control, Lord, that you've given us the free will to be able to make the right choices. So tonight, we just pray for our conversations, that you would be glorified, and that the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts will be pleasing to you. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Awesome. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Just to let you know, as always, we want you to be part of the Talanoa. We want you to bring things in and have a chat about things. If you do have any questions, chuck it in there. We'll do our best to get to them. And look, if you agree with us, awesome. If you disagree with us, awesome. If you hate on us, hey, all good. We like to have a little bit of a, a little rucky, all good in the hood. So, look, thanks so much for coming in. I think perhaps we should start tonight with something that's happened today, I believe. That is, of course, Leo Molloy. First off, let's qualify this. The fact is that we get our money from the provinces. The provinces are what make us our money. The agriculture, the horticulture, the farming, the red meat, the milk, all of that. However, in terms of where the money is transacted in a lot of the business, it's not even Wellington, it's actually Auckland. So Auckland is really a really important place to consider.
Yeah.
And of course, the mayoral race is going on, and in Auckland it is quite fascinating what's happening. And of course today, massive news was that Leo Molloy has pulled out of the race. He was one of the top guys polled. And he has pulled out. So I think that's really, really big news, and it has to be thought of and discussed. Liao, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I've seen that the reason that he has pulled out is because that his, I think he was coming third at the time, third or fourth, that the polls are not in his favor. So I'm just wondering what polls, like you just never rely on the things because sometimes questions can be asked in a way that, you know, can sway the way that you would answer. So I would never think that I think it's far too early to pull out, but I guess, you know, so be it. You know, he had a lot of gusto to start off with and a lot of punch. And so to step down at this point is a little bit disappointing, but you know, we've still got our friend Craig Lord, you know, speaking out in truth, and just really appreciate what he has to say.
Tell me, was this a bit of a shock aspect? Was this a, I mean, you have to think at this side of the race, he was still in it to win it. He was gaining traction in areas, whether you like him or hate him or love him, whatever. Do you think that he did leave for good reasons, or do you think there was a bit of cloak and dagger stuff going on?
I definitely think the latter. You know, but you did have someone who was very in the way that during the lockdown, he was absolutely against those who are unvaccinated. So, you know, how many people would he have voting for him if things are going to be unraveled? I mean, we've just been watching this, you know, this gameplay between National and Labour. It's almost like a theatrical play that we're watching. You know, okay, so you've highlighted National. So is there something that Labour are hiding away? And then we've got Leo resigning. What is going on? What is going
Yeah.
on in the background? Is something that you always have to ask yourself.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. And it looks like a lot of people here were not fans of
Mm.
Leo, and it does appear to be, a lot of it does appear to be, he was very solidly against those who were vaccinated. I believe he was even going out calling for some pretty radical things along the same lines as some of the Labour fans, arrest them or kick them out of everything.
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
right.
that was quite unfortunate. That was foolish to go for. And of course, it was one of those things that did not age well, because now everyone's turning around going, all the WHO has admitted that the masks don't work and that the
That's right.
vaccines do not cause any real decent loss in surge, in spread. So it's become absolutely nonsensical, and now, of course, memes and video clips all over the place are coming up showing just how psychotic or sociopathic people were being made to be from
That's
the
right.
Labour Party 1 p.m. presses, the absolute complicit nature of the media trying to whip up frenzies. Oh, and to be fair, succeeding in whipping up frenzies with New Zealanders. So,
Right.
I really do think that he really failed to read the room, and I think he tried to play the game as opposed to do what was right. That's my sort of take on it in terms of that. So yeah, absolutely right. I think there's a lot of parts in there. We've got a lot of people sort of jumping in now.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. Oh, sorry, Amanda. I wasn't
We
so
were doing
late
that.
today.
No,
I
we
was
were
I was
doing
like
quite
what?
well.
I was 4 minutes late. So. All right, so Ginny's in there. Hey, hope everyone had a good week. Lovely. Helen's coming up to us from Dunedin. Helen, I hope you're not living near a particular flat in Dunedin, one that displayed underwear or something like that. That was quite interesting. Yeah.
I mean, you know, Elliot, I feel that if that was what during lockdown, a lot of things came out about the character of people, and we've got Leo Malloy, who was very set against those who were unvaccinated, and like you said, all the data's coming out now. Is this the kind of leader we want? Is this the kind of uh, mayor we want for Auckland when we've got very much now a place that is struggling. Auckland is struggling. You know, the Prime Minister was very happy to lock down Auckland over one case, and now we have maybe the highest in the OCD of cases in the world. So, and we've got a country, a place now, Auckland, who is absolutely struggling. So we need someone who is willing to have I'm going to dare say this, have the balls to actually stand and go, this is what we need for Auckland, and actually have a heart for Auckland instead of just to be in the limelight and just be like most of the politicians. Yeah.
Well said, very well said. Yes, I think you're absolutely right. And I, okay, let's have a real chat about this. Uffindel from one poll, which to be fair, that poll was about 200 or 300 people. That's where we're at now with media. That poll said that Uffindel was in the lead by I think about 7% from the second. Uffindel Collins, South Auckland ward councillor. He is Samoan. I sort of like him at a personal level. What are your thoughts about Uffindel?
I don't think he's for the people. I used to think that when I've actually met him during when I was a community developer, and I told him just for the heart of the people, our community, and at face value, I feel like he did have that. He is someone. It is in his being. It's in his blood. But being influenced by so many people can really change that. It can really change that. And so he might firmly believe, like even the police 10-7. Do you remember that
Oh
incident
gosh,
with
yep.
him with the race card? We are struggling and we are fighting against having our country divided. Do we want him as mayor of Auckland? Look at all the things that he has said and done. And do we want that for the next how many years as mayor?
Yep, well said, and I'm in the same regard. I sort of like him as a guy along the street. He does have he does have a love for people, and I believe he does have a love for people. The problem is, of course, is that the ideology that he serves and serves faithfully is quite brutal to people. So it's the covering is a lovely smile and a very intelligent, articulate person. But underneath that ideology that he serves is a lethal killer of an ideology. And already we can see that in our society we've got crime, rampant crime, and it's not slowing down, it's speeding up. We've got absolute gender ideology being shoved down the throats of our children. Now that lockdown's over, now it's being shoved down good and hard into them. You've got the CRT, the race-based stuff, the apartheid-style medical system now, and also the about to be apartheid-style utilities section as well, and the segregation by race of power. And that is the ideology that he serves. He serves that ideology. He asked for it. He wanted it. So as much as on the surface he might have laugh and be a nice guy in many areas, he believes in a vicious, horrific ideology. And I think that's why we really don't want him as mayor. No offence to him personally, all offence to him ideologically. I think that's something which we need to be at. In actual fact, Fia Nofo has bring up, did you see Fessel's ad on Facebook about Mission Bay Area? Seriously, many other towns in Auckland need so much development and upgrades, but he wants to upgrade Mission Bay, what the heck? I saw that one. And I was like, far out, what was that about? I couldn't help, I was trying to come at it from, you know what that was? That's trying to put a hand across, because his team would know, or they would believe, that brown people will go, oh, yep, okay, we will do what we're told, we will just vote red. And so for him, he's just going to be pushing hard on the other areas. And this is, of course, what Liao, myself, Fuiawai, and some of you out there have been talking about more and more, is breaking that stranglehold upon Pacifica people who always just vote red, like an abused wife, like an abused girlfriend, who just do what they're told. And so that's where I think we can sort of break it down and prevent another Labour ideology shoving it down our throats again. Don't forget, the current mayor, of course, is Phil Goff, and don't forget, it was Phil Goff who tried to, or at one point wanted to, bring the age of sexual consent from 16 to 12. And I don't care what reason. I heard his reasons, and on the surface his reasons sounded good, but you couldn't get away from the fact that it was just, there was a rot there that was a deep and dark place to start thinking about. So yeah, did you see the Mission Bay area one?
No. Are you talking to me? No.
Yeah.
You know what? There's so much things happening, and sorry, I wouldn't have been watching an ad from.
Oh yeah. Look, fair. It absolutely. Yeah, I did see it. It was. I must admit. At first I was like, huh? And then as the wheels started turning, it did make sense after a while. You've got the brown people are supposed to just go yep, and then vote red, and then so you was trying to reach out to others and try to pretend. So going for the champagne socialists and those that group.
So Elliot, do you know who else is in the running at the moment besides the ones that they have chosen to advertise?
Yeah, so you've got, gosh, I can never remember if it's Vic Bev or Viv Beck or something like that. So you've got Viv Beck, I think it is. She's the businesswoman who is, and I believe she's endorsed by National. Not that that's such a, well, actually no, you have to say that because of the whole Epsom deal that occurs when National people there are told to vote for David, in the same way, you can have an endorsement by a party so that they will vote for what they're told to vote for. What's interesting, I think, alongside that is you've got Viv Beck, you've got Wayne Brown, you've got Craig Lord, and maybe a couple of others. But I think also what this shows is that the left are very good at being able to jump together. They're very good at being able to jump together very quickly. It's one of the things around that is about the leftist ideology. Whatever they do, if they find a common cause quickly, and then they'll jump together quickly and they'll go en masse with something. And it is something that those who are conservative and those who are on the right, so you got your libertarians, we're just not that good at it because we believe in individual thought. We believe that you should decide for yourself, that you should decide for your family.
Right.
So we're not that good at communalism, not communism at this stage, but communalism and collective thought. All right, I had a bit of an argument about common unity. Eh?
Yeah.
I had a nice long-winded discussion earlier this week. Someone was trying to tell me that no, Maori and Pacifica have lived in socialism for many generations before. I was like, bro, that's not socialism or communism. You got that one wrong.
It is not.
Hey? You keep going to your university, buddy.
No, don't.
But yeah. So I'll tell you what. At this stage, and it hasn't really changed, I would be voting for Craig Lord. Well, I will be voting for Craig Lord. What am I talking about? Yeah. I think that he's down to earth. He's got a very good sense of the Auckland region. He's very much about Auckland as a city, as a nation. He does have a care aspect, but that's combined also with a strength, a resilience there that you do need. Whereas I think that Fessel and the 10-7 debacle is a good example. You're showing too many brown people, so either fix it and get more white people, or we'll have to cancel you. So I think that's just a good example.
Makes sense, doesn't it? So don't address the truth, just address something at face value.
Yep.
Well, if they're brown, why are they doing it? Go back to the core rather than race bait. That's all it's been, and I'm like, this is all I see. Like that is an example of your. They will love. They're all commenting on your cap.
Oh yeah. Hey, my cap. Trump 24.
Speaking of Trump.
Oh, are we gonna talk about Trump, eh? Sounds good.
I think we should for just a moment. He has been harassed. They can't get over that you've got a new president now, and who is, who can't finish a sentence, but no, you voted for him, and no, they just have to keep going back and harassing him and his wife and his children because of why? Because of why?
Yep. Yeah, because he's a conservative. Hey, don't forget that who was it? Was it Kathy? Was it Kathy Griffin, the quote unquote comedian who held up the head of Trump on an effigy? I thought that was foul. That was so disgusting. You know, a bloodied head of Trump, and she's put her head up. Yeah, I thought that was foul. You know, and not only that, she didn't get cancelled by a whole bunch of people on the right and conservatives going after it. Not like their people do. Instead, people just didn't want to go to that show. They just said, oh, no, stuff that. I'm out. Right? They made their own individual choice on that sort of thing. So I think it was absolutely right. And you're right, that Marlo, I think we are seeing the weaponization of the FBI against a political opponent because he will win next year. He will win. And to see that the New Zealand media, as well as CNN, MSNBC, ABC, and all those left-wing ones, to see them saying, "Oh, nah, all the Republican money's gone." Oh, by the way, I first heard about this on ZB, because ZB have on their American correspondent, who's very much a Democrat supporter, very much a Biden guy. And he's sitting there going, oh, the money's gone, it's been taken away. Oh, he's over, he's gone. He's just going to have to try to cause less damage. And I was getting a lot of remembrance from 2016 and 2015 when people were just saying, get stuffed, he's not going to get in. It's just an absolute laugh. Right. But I think it's absolutely, I think it's appalling. I mean, Hunter Biden, you think about Hunter Biden, and you've got Hunter Biden in there, who has been shown to be engaged in cocaine and crack and prostitutes
and
the laptop. Yeah. And there was photographs of him today just jumping on the plane with Daddy. Nothing's called out, nothing like that whatsoever. It was just shocking to see that. And Trump, they hit him at everything. They tried 2 different impeachments. They tried slamming him. What the attack or the raid on his home was about was not about documentation or about the concern about him improperly dealing with paperwork from the White House. It's got nothing to do with it. All right, it was all about January 6th as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, it was all about Jan 6.
Right.
And just, really, really important to look at what's actually occurred in the factuality of it. This is why they are going to lose again next year. Absolutely disgusting what happened. I cannot wait for Trump to run again. He will run again, and he's going to be bloody awesome. I tell you what, it will be great.
The thing is with him is that he came with money. He has lost quite a bit in regards to being the presidency. This is the huge difference between, I would say, political leaders that have just gone in for their own gain. And, even people had been asking quite a bit lately how our prime minister has gone from, 400K salary to being worth 25, 26, probably more now, 26 million. And we have someone like Trump who came in with his own money, lost money, became president, made huge differences, and, has left with his head held high and with a legacy that people will always see as he did the right thing. I mean, he wasn't perfect. Not at all, but he did so many right things. And so I just look at that and I compare that with what we have here in New Zealand, and I'm just, where's our Trump for New Zealand, Elliot?
Hey, what the whoa? Hey, maybe that's Todd Mueller type of hat, you know. Oh
Yeah.
no, I just collect souvenirs or something like that.
Souvenirs.
No,
No, I've
no,
seen that
I
on
am
your
a
head.
Trump guy. I have had the occasion to be able to discuss why to various people because, of course, I wear the hat. I mean, hey, during my break, I wear it and I'll walk around with that on,
You're
and
such
then
a
it always comes out.
troublemaker. You're just
Yeah,
like,
just discussing free speech
let's have a conversation. Well, while we can.
while we can, indeed. So I think that's quite important in that regard. Oh, I see we have Mr. Craig Lord has come up. Evening,
Oh,
have I missed anything exciting? Yes, huh? We were just talking about you. All
yes,
right.
we will. Yeah.
Liao
Low
was
key.
stabbing you in the back.
No, I wasn't. I was like, Craig, would you like to come on and have a little chat?
Oh, there we go. Well, we'll see. We'll see if he can jump on later on,
If you're available.
guys. He may be. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see what goes on there. One thing. Now there was one thing that I wanted to have a bit of a painful topic on. It was. And I do want to see if we can just bring it up. First off, I apologise. My tech guys have told me that we had some issues with the website today. Our bad. We're getting that fixed out nice and easily, so that should be absolutely fine. In the meantime, I believe we have an interloper, an intruder has come into our green room. But look, you guys have been asking for it, and this is not the official one. We want to see if
Yeah.
we can get these guys in for the 2nd of September. But in the meantime, please welcome the man himself of the hour, Craig Lord. Craig Lord.
Hello for
Evening,
Craig.
Ora.
all. Kia ora.
All right, what? Really? Darth Maul, eh?
Tea. Yeah, cup of tea on a cold night.
Cup
It
of
is
tea on a
cold,
cold
isn't
night.
it?
Gosh, I was about to get all geeky and is that?
Oh, we could talk. I mean, let's not go for a tour of my Star Wars stuff, okay?
Oh, hey, oi,
Yeah, yeah.
well. Okay, sounds
You know,
interesting.
and
Hey,
like
Elliot.
most people have gnomes as garden ornaments. I've got the Star Wars statues through the garden.
I
Oh,
love it.
awesome, Liao. What were you saying
I
there?
was just going to say that Ted Johnson is just saying hello to you too from New Conservative.
Oh, wow,
He's on here
Oh,
awesome.
tonight too.
There he is. Well, we'll get these. We're going to get all these guys together anyway, so that'll be
Yeah.
great. Craig, can you give us your opinion as to what happened today? Leo, of course, shock decision. What are your first thoughts on it?
I don't believe the reasons that were said.
Yeah.
Straight up. You do not quit on a poll of 500 people with a 45% undecided, which means basically 200 and what that'd be 275 people giving their opinion out of 1.6 million voters, 275 people, and you use that as your guide to pull out of a mayoral race. I think there's something going on in the background that we don't know about, but spin is spin, and that's what they've decided to say is the deal, that the polls are the reason. But I struggle to believe it.
Well said. Look, you've got a little bit of a gap here. We've got some people who want to ask some questions, so let's
They do.
do a little bit of that. Actually, we're going to jump in there. We do grab on. Sarah Jane has asked, Craig, why should we vote for you? And in brackets, she has put freedom fighters. So, of course, 30% of the New Zealanders did support the freedom protests at Wellington, and that's from a mainstream media article, no less. So there's a big gap group out there anyway. What are your thoughts there, Craig?
I have a very strict line between council role and government role, so I don't cross over. Um, I know that's what Leo was doing a lot. He would bark on about government issues, and I don't. So why should people vote for me is because I want to make Auckland livable again. I really want to work hard to change the way Auckland functions. And have you? How much time can I give you? Really quickly, try and go through three of my major
Go for it.
ideas I've
Go
got.
for it.
Okay. Well, one of the problems we've got obviously is a cost of living. Now, while the council can't control the price of milk, cheese, butter, bread, what the council can do is stop hemorrhaging money so that we have to keep putting rates up and charging so much for consents and fees, and all those little bills that we get from a council are used as income. But the reason we need that income is because we overborrow and we overspend, and it's in silly places. So often you'll hear candidates say, okay, I'm going to solve the spending. But I'm actually pretty proud that I'm the only one who's come up with an idea on how to do it. So I'm proud of that. And my idea is I want to completely overhaul the preferred contractor system, because the procurement system for Auckland Council generally goes to the giant corporations who then subbed out all the work that's used to maintain Auckland, do repairs in Auckland, little builds for Auckland, all these, where all our money keeps going out and out and out. So I want to completely overhaul that to make it locals working local, because that's been rammed down our throats, right, for a couple of years, buy local. Well,
Mm.
let's add to that by saying, well, let's just pick my suburb, for example. If we've got a council building here and it needs a new window, it's better to use a glazier locally than it is to get one
Mm.
from the other side of the city. It will
Right.
save you money. You're not subbing it out to a major corporation who's just then going to get a contractor from somewhere that they've got to deal with. So now we're saving money, massive amounts of money. And we're still struggling to find all the figures, and probably won't know till you're on the inside. But what we understand, it's around $1 billion a year in
Mm.
maintaining Auckland to keep it operating. Rates is only around 40% of that, so 60% comes in from other sources. But
Mm.
we've got to drop that down. We've got to drop down this expenditure. We've got to stop. If there's a footpath repair, you don't get a contractor from the, again, other side of the city who will be subbed out. Could be by two, three, four subcontractors, everyone clipping the ticket, taking a bit of money off the council, and you're charged probably 10 times more than the job's worth.
That's right.
So if we got local contractors who go, I can actually get some work out of council, yes,
Mm.
but they go, well, I can't meet the tenders. I can't spend a whole day filling out a tender form. So we've got to change the red tape. We've got to change the networking to get local boards to deal with the local contractors, to get them up to speed so that they can easily submit a quote to do a job. Someone could ring council and say a car's knocked over a barrier, or a rubbish bin, it needs replacing. Cool. In the system, we look through it. There's a network. There's a contract locally. He does engineering. He's up to spec. He's gained his warrant of fitness. He's at our standards level. He's got the job. So it's a major project, but I think if we can save hundreds of millions of dollars a year, it's a worthwhile project doing, and
Mm.
that's how I want to try and save money. So that's a major one, but it links heavily to me into local boards. And I bet you if you ask the question to your listeners and viewers, who knows what a local board is, who knows what they do, and who is on their local board, you wouldn't get many positive answers. And so I want to change that. I want to have these local boards working with the local contractors, because I believe a local board is probably, it's right up there as one of the most important roles in Auckland's
Yep.
council's operations, because the local board is the
Absolutely.
conduit between the public and the council. They are the ones who keep an eye on the parks, the facilities, where the money's going to get spent in the local area. And people just think it comes out of the council main building, but it doesn't. There's 5 to 9, depending on your ward population, people who have been elected to run your little region on behalf of the council. And so they are such a crucial part, and they need to get out more and see the public. So I'm going to change the legislation. I'm going to give them more power, but I'm also going to put them under much more scrutiny so that they're not allocating jobs to mates. And I also want them to start doing pop ups. And initially, I'm thinking 4 hours once every 2 months. They grab their gazebo if it's a summer, or they grab their pull out table and a sign. They go set
Mm.
up in a retirement village or a mall or the shopping centre or the outside square, wherever, and they sit there for 4 hours and they wait for the public to come up to them and say, who are you? And they go, we're your local board. Here's a flyer. Here's what we do. You got any issues with the area? If not, come and see us, or here's how you get hold of us. If we can, instead of you having to go find a local board that you don't even know exists, let's bring the local boards to the people. So
Mm.
anyway, those are two really important things I think will completely, utterly change the way Auckland City operates. And I've got this little mantra: if Auckland Council works properly, the city works properly. Therefore, everyone can go about their daily lives, their work, their life, their play, with less care and more fun and enjoyment in life.
Well said. Oh, well said.
Oh, I love that.
Sorry for the long spiel.
Hey,
No.
long spiel. No, it's good though.
No, it's
This is
good.
exactly what we want to hear. I can tell you,
Yeah.
for example, from in terms of my local area, I happen to be in the area that has had the most shootings as well. You know, we got out of the hood, we left the hood, and we've got into this area which is supposed to be quite nice. And now we've heard, my family have actually heard 3 different shootings, and there's been more than that. We just haven't heard the other one. So, you know, and we don't have our aquatic centre, we don't have our facilities, we don't have a lot of the stuff that we were promised to have. And so, you know, that's something that our little region has to deal with, because, of course, our local board happens to be something like about a 20-minute journey away by car, and that's we just get left out in the wilderness, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right.
Well, a couple of things I want to do is I want to stop closed meetings. They're elected temporary custodians. There should be no such thing as a closed private meeting. You know,
Well
so that's
said.
a change.
Well said.
Now, if
Sick,
that means
yeah.
there's a legislation requirement, then let's get the legislation in there to stop that happening. I know there's a couple of local boards, and there could be more, who do that. They say we do not have closed meetings, but I also know there's local boards who do, and that really has to change.
It really does.
And look, I want to see local boards coming forward and saying we need more basketball courts, skateboard parks. We've got 12 parks here, sport parks here, that we want to turn into AstroTurf so they can be used every day of the year. That's what we need the local boards to come to council, and then we go to local contractors who go, we can build you a basketball court. It's not going to cost you 25,000. We'll do it for $5,000. Ah, here we go. You know, that's what we need. And if we can see, I believe council's job is core services. I'm very strict on this, not social services, but providing those facilities for the people to use, to me, is a core service. The other aspect of it, the social side of things, is the government's job. But we provide our bit. The government should do their bit. And if they're not doing their bit, well, it's my job as mayor to lobby them to say, why aren't you doing your bit? So, yeah, so that's how I treat on that.
Well said, well said. Leo Fuiava, do you guys have any questions there for Craig?
Yeah, so Craig, I've been a community developer for quite a few years, and every time I had an idea or a project, we would have to go to our local board and do a huge presentation, and they would sit around and either agree or disagree. And I'm like, no, you work for us. You know, we're coming with, you're meant to be for the people, you know, not the other way around. You're not sitting around, tossing these ideas. You are supposed to be for us and to support what we're doing. So exactly what you said.
And the only, sorry, I'm losing my ears here. The only thing that, standby caller, one moment, please. There we go. What the council or the local board should be saying is, we don't have the money for that. And then if you say that and you know, then you go, okay, I get it. Not, well, we don't like that idea, or whatever reason it's given. It should be, if the community wants it and we can afford it, then why not do it? You know, if we can't afford it, then fine. Because it's just, if you've got how do I put this? You don't need a 70-inch QLED TV. You might want one, right? But you don't need one. And it's like, yes, I do. I need one.
QLED.
But if you've got the money and it would benefit everyone, then you go, why not? And that's the same with the community and the budget of Auckland Council. So what I don't want to see is them spending money on a 70-inch QLED when you only need a 32. If you get my point. I know it's a weak analogy, but that's what I'm getting at. So you simply say to a community group that's come to you with the needs of the community, and you say, okay, guys, we don't have that in the budget. And then the community group goes, okay, at least you told us the truth. You know, there's the reason, no budget. Maybe the community group and the local boards can then work out, okay, what if we private-public partnership? What if we do that to make this project happen? Cool, let's work together on that. So they've got to start doing that. But you are exactly right. We are, well, I will be, a temporary elected custodian. That's it. Don't own the council. not the boss, it's not ours just because you voted us in. We are temporary and we're just custodians. So we've got to be public servants. We are public servants. And if you don't like that idea, don't put your hand up for the nomination.
Well said. Well said. Fiavai, do you have anything there?
Yeah, I was just thinking that there were people who are part of our electorate here in South Auckland who have said that ever since they did this whole super city thing, that it's actually had a negative impact on the amount of assistance and support that they've received. And so they constantly harp on trying to get things back to the way they were prior to the founding of the super city. So I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I fully agree. I'd love to have a referendum put forward that Auckland super city is split off into 3. It used to be 7. But I think
Yes.
Rodney and Franklin should be out on their own and looking after
Yes.
themselves, and then Auckland, because I think the Auckland super city is bitten off more than it can chew. And that's part of the problem. But I think there's also an accumulative amount of problems. So it's these inefficiencies of the way the contracts are done, which is bleeding money. So then other things can't be done. There's the fact that so many projects seem to be happening that are not fair, and they
Yeah.
tend to go to certain suburbs in Auckland, and we know that. Even playgrounds. You can
Right.
go to certain suburbs and go, what happened to this playground? And you go to another one and you go, wow, look at the money that's been
Yes.
spent here. So that sort
Yeah.
of stuff needs to stop. We've got to fair that up. However, I think even though I believe that Rodney and Franklin should split off, it'll be a difficult job. And the reason is because there'll be a lot of powerful people who see Franklin and Rodney districts as a cash cow. They
Yeah.
take a lot of rates in, but they don't give much back. Now, I know Franklin and Rodney are not South Auckland,
Yeah.
but all I'm saying is that
Further south.
they're further south and further north, but they've got a similar problem. They're not treated fairly.
Yeah.
So I want to be, look, really simply, I want to be the man for all Aucklanders. I don't care what colour, creed, where you've come from. If you live in Auckland, you'll be treated as an equal Aucklander. So to me, there's no reason why Oraki or Remuera or Ponsonby should get a brand new superb playground and somewhere in Otara they don't.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense to me. And the budget should be fairly spread around. And that's just one little example. But you are right, and the super city is struggling to cope with its own size. We've been bloated down with staff, and they seem to have this mentality of, well, we've got more work to do. We better hire more staff in the head office. Well, that's an inefficiency. That's not effective. So we've got to make quite a few changes, but it's going to be progressive. I've got to start in one spot.
Sorry, what was that word you used? Did you just say progressive? Hey,
Hey, we came with that.
Are we talking the same?
hey.
No,
10-7 needs to be more white.
Let's say I'm going to do it in baby steps.
I love
One
that.
step at a time, one project at a time we solve, and then the rest will fall into place.
Okay. Oh. Wow.
Sounds good.
Yeah. This is just a joke, but obviously you haven't heard of Leo Malloy, huh?
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Craig, I do have a question. So thank you for telling us about this thing. Can you just give your insight, or what are your thoughts on these polls? Because these polls are random. And I mean, the last 3 or 4 polls that I looked at, the sample sizes were very odd, and I just don't get it. Can you tell us what's going on with these polls?
So there's been 4 official polls and a unofficial online poll. So 5 in total. 3 of them are done by a company called Courier. Now, Courier is owned by David Farrar, who is, I think he's actually employed by the Taxpayers Union, from memory. Or at least a member of it, whatever.
He's on the board, I think, yeah.
On the board, right. So he owns a polling company, and he has apparently he has a very good reputation as a good poller. They do a good job of it. However, reputation aside, as a professional outfit, if you're going to ring 500 people in a voting population of 1.6 million, you're going to have a percentage of undecided being 35 or 45%, which really gives you anywhere from 250 to 300 people. That's not a poll. That's just the opinion of a handful of houses. It's a complete waste of time. But what it does is it gives the mainstream media something to work with, because there's no other indicator. So they use it regardless. Even though they would admit inside the offices that it's a waste of time, they'll use it and they'll run with it. Now, there is an advantage to a poll like that, even though it's a joke. If you are ahead in those polls, you create the sheeple principle. Because what happens is people look at the top two and they go, well, then if they're the top two, I better vote for them.
Right.
Because people stop doing their research. They just go, oh, well, they must be the leaders. Then I better vote for them because everybody else is. But it's not actually. It's disingenuous. So that's that one. And then there was another poll which Wayne Brown did himself, but he only polled people who were 50 plus who owned a house. So read into that what you want. That's catering to your own voting demographic, and that's why he came, I think, second or third in that one. However, there was an online poll, completely unofficial, and the problem is you don't know who's voting in it because they were done on Facebook groups and community groups. So it could be a teenager in the group. It could be someone who doesn't vote in the group clicking on a name. But in that poll, it was a complete, almost 100% reversal of the other polls in the ratings. So I actually ended up with 58% at the beginning of it, with the others down on 10 and 12.
Take it.
Well, take it and run. But when the guy who did it, I didn't know he was doing it, he sent me the stats. I went, okay, that's encouraging. It tells me my message is getting out to a certain group of people online, which is nice. It means the message is getting out there. But I'm so cynical of polls. I said, mate, you can't. He goes, oh, yeah, but we've had 1,100 people compared to the other polls. We're way above them. Yeah, but still. So, So anyway, that's how polls work. They're fairly ridiculous. They're used for headlines. They're used to give the media something to talk about.
Right.
And a lot of people think it's the gospel, but it's not.
Well said.
Hey, the only real poll is the 8th of October, isn't it? That's the real poll.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. Well said.
And today was the last day to put in whether you want to be part of local council and councillor and
there's a lot of ones around the country where they'll become the incumbent because there's been no one putting their hand forward. That's sad. I think a lot of people are scared of the backlash that's been happening on politicians, and they're scared to run, which is sad. But let's hope that things can change, or when I'm mayor, I'll change the way Auckland operates. Other people around the country will go, that's what we've got to do. Let's do a similar process. Let's change our... And then people will go, I want to be part of that. I'm excited to be part of that. And I want to serve the community. And I hope it'll bleed down through the rest of the country, because it's pretty grim that there's not enough. Although I think it's later tonight, the official names will come out. I'm predicting 23 is my number this year. Now, 23, last election, there were 21 mayoral candidates in Auckland. I'm picking 23 this time. And I would say 17 will be activists. So, hey, that's fine. It's cheap advertising, so good on them.
Yeah.
All of us who were part of the election last time, have actually thought about, standing in local council. And I did myself too. I had been thinking quite a bit leading up to this day. And I thought, actually, what I need to think about is, where am I most effective? There are battles that we all fight, and where is it best to stand? Because everywhere I drive in West Auckland, I look at the faces and I'm like, you are not for us. You are not for us. So I've seen the last, 3 years, and you are not for us. So, and I wanted to just be able to put my name forward, just because I wanted to go against, the Labour 8. They've got 8 of them standing who, just so confident that they'll get in. And I'm just like...
look, my message is to every voter out there, do not vote Labour, do not vote City Vision, because you'll get the same results we've had for the last 6 years. And they rack and stack the local boards and councillors so that they can link in with the government and just push their agendas through. And I despise that. And that's why I want to be independent. I get the occasional thing. Oh, mate, we'd love you to run as an MP. You should be our prime minister. I'm like, no. Thanks for, thanks
Mhm.
for the vote of confidence about
Yeah.
running for central government. But in all honesty, I think I can achieve a lot more in local. I can
Mhm.
actually get things done. So that's why I have no intention at all of going to central government. But Leo, you're right. There's so many people out there like yourself who go,
Yeah.
I should really be doing this, but, and as soon as the but comes in, it's like, oh,
And you do find your path, like where is it you most effective right now, and maybe there might be a chance in a few years where you just
yeah,
realize actually this is where I'm meant to be right now. So we
it
just
could
want
well
to
be.
honor
Yeah,
you today, Craig, because honestly that you speak sense, you make
Mhm.
sense, and
Mhm.
it's really refreshing to hear someone just speak their heart and not
Mhm.
something that has been given to them to read from a you know
well,
which is most
Right.
of the
it's a
leaders.
funny thing that because it's the reason why in 2019 and this time I do not have a campaign manager or a campaign team. I do
Mm.
everything myself. Well,
Yeah.
I,
Mm.
I,
Uh,
I have
uh,
soundboards and the wife.
isn't there a lady beside you?
Yeah.
A
She'll be
very
out. She'll
beautiful
be in.
lady, I must say.
She'll be in the living room watching another Grease rerun. But
Oh, I look forward to.
but yes, she is my number one supporter and
Yeah.
bouncer of ideas. But I've got a couple of really close friends that I use as my soundboards. And before I do things that might be a little bit iffy, I'll contact them. They're businessmen, and I say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And they'll give me
Yeah.
I might not agree with them, but I get their thoughts. But the campaign itself, I do myself. So all my
mm,
social media, all my press releases, everything like this is purely me. And the reason I do it's not a power control thing. It's so that the people see me so that and it's often you'll get an email or a message, could you send this to Craig? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. And I'll respond
Mm.
back, I'm here. And that's because they get me. They don't get a
Mhm.
campaign person, they don't get a media person, they don't get a speech writer. They get me, warts and all, I suppose, but at least it's going to be just 100% honest to me. So
mm.
that's why I do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome,
you don't want to borrow
awesome.
one of Jacinda's PR team? She has
Oh no, well, I know there'll be
Completely.
a lot of people who won't be voting for me. The people who like the PR people in council, a lot of the big contractors who are going, we might lose our jobs here. So I
Mm.
guess I'm
yeah.
not getting their votes.
So I think
No,
that
well
bodes
said.
well, actually, for someone who is running for a position of leadership because, leaders lead. That's what we
Yeah,
need. We need
yeah,
leaders,
yeah.
and
And
someone
the mayor's
who's
not the
actually
boss.
doing their
Mm,
entire campaign by themselves. That's commendable.
Mm,
Because
yeah,
everyone needs like the perfect party machine to back them up in order to win the election. But if you're willing to do all that, I think people need, especially in this day and age, that ever since Trump, you know, it's all about the non politicians, the citizens
yeah.
who
mm.
Look,
actually work and know all about what's going on with their fellow citizens. So I commend you,
yeah.
Craig, for what you're doing right now.
Yeah, thank you. The one job I did hand over this year because last time it drained me was the road signs. Like Shelley and I, my wife and I, we went out. We were probably, let's say, out of the 300 road signs, we probably put up 100 ourselves, and
Mm.
it took it away. It took me away from the campaigning and doing my other
Yeah,
roles. So
right.
this time around, and even though I had a whole bunch of people volunteer again to say, we'll do it for you. We'll get the signs up, mate. Don't worry about it. I
Mm-hmm.
said, actually, I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
make a donation to a rugby club. And the
Mm,
rugby club said, yeah, okay, we'll go do it for you.
right,
So they get a donation because they're always desperate for them,
right.
and they're just out there doing it, and it's going to let me focus on the campaigning. So that's this time. Oh, in saying that, wife and I, we have done 2 days out on the road. So we've done Franklin and Rodney.
Yeah.
We did the long trips to save the rugby
Mm,
clubs going that far south and north. We
right.
went and did those ones. But that's the job that I've handed over to a rugby club, which
Wow,
is
that's
kind of
such a
cool.
good idea,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Elliot. For next year's
well,
campaign,
Borrow. We can borrow this
rugby
Parliament
idea
club.
here.
Rugby
Yeah.
Club.
Well, look, because volunteers are great. Like
Mm.
there's an abundance of them, but there's a
Mm,
logistical nightmare with volunteers at the same time. because
Yeah.
you've got to get the materials to them, or they've got to pick them up, and you've got to collate the list of where they're going compared to the other volunteer and the other volunteer, and you've got to mark out all the maps and everything. It's a lot easier to say to the rugby club, you need money, here's a little bit of coin, here's the maps, go. And so, yeah, this time I decided to do it that way. Hey, it's a leadership thing, isn't it? Well, pat
Right.
myself on the back. Here we go. Stop it.
Awesome. Look, Craig, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it, and we're looking forward. We're going to set about. We're hoping for grey area. We're hoping for maybe 2nd of September, but
I'll
not
check my
sure.
calendar, and I'll get my
Check
people to
your
talk
calendar.
to your people,
Your
which will be
people
you
and-
and me on a private message.
You mean you?
Here we go.
Yeah.
All right, but cheers for that. We
Thanks,
really
Drew.
appreciate it, bro.
Have a good
Bye,
night.
Craig.
Bye-bye.
See
Take
you.
care, Craig. Oh,
So awesome.
good guy.
So yeah, really good to have Craig on there. Really good to have Ted speaking in there as well. We really do
absolutely.
appreciate him as well, and we will be getting him on as well to join in with a bit of a town hall debate that we will have. Again, we're going to make sure that it's a little bit. We've got to be quite stringent on the rules a little bit. And then we've got the power to be able to do that here as well. Now, look, we don't have much time left, and I want Fuiawai to also speak on something which
Yes.
he has organised that is there for us to be able to cruise to if we so want to. But I want to bring this out because he has a message that is a bit of a hopeful message, or one that to engage in, a bit of a call to action. But I think it is important for us to discuss this, and that is news that occurred very recently on a rape case that the judge said. It was absolutely shocking, and that was that 12-year-old children can actually consent to sex. Now, so first off, looking at the facts, Tulisi, this is this person here, 45-year-old pedophile, charged with abusing 2 girls for years. At the time, they were aged 8 and 12. All right, so they were aged 8 and 12 at the start of the abuse. I believe they are 20 and 24, I think it is, or something like that. Anyway, he was charged with the following: 33 different sexual assaults. All right, 33 charges in all. All right, absolutely disgraceful. All right, and according to him, the 12-year-old girl pursued, wanted it. All right, he said, "I know she was a child, but the way she came to me was like a mature woman." I do apologize. I should have just mentioned that some of this can be quite upsetting. I do apologize for that. If you are upsetting, I am going to be being a bit brutal with some of the facts here. All right, so if you do need to just go away for a few minutes, do that. Okay, but it's important for us to have a bit of a chat. Anyway, the defense pushed on a particular law that is, while the age of consent is 16 years in New Zealand, sexual consent can still be used as a legal defense, especially with those who have raped children. Then Judge Earworker. Now, I want to be careful about this. Judge Earworker said, legally, a person under 16 cannot give consent for charge of indecent assaults. Therefore, as a jury, all you need to decide if the indecent acts took place. But for sexual intercourse, a person under 16 can give consent. Now, I don't want to say that the judge was being dodgy and is a bit of a scumbag and harbours some deep insides. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I also don't think Te Kahu, who wrote this article, I don't think that's what he's saying either. What I think he is saying is that the law allows for that to occur. And that is absolutely unacceptable. It is unacceptable for a child under 16 to give consent, whether they seem to be, what did Tulisi say? If we're coming on like a mature woman or not. It doesn't matter. It's a child. This, of course, does overlap with the gender ideology programs we see coming on now, where if you're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you can choose your gender and then start to go puberty blockers and double mastectomy, penis removal, and all of that sort of stuff. Right. But staying on to this case here, it was just utterly shocking to read that a person under 16 can give consent and that can be used as a defense for a 45-year-old pedophile who was raping these children. All right. Help organisation. They are an NGO who do help sexual abuse survivors. He said they were shocked. Sexual behaviour between adults and children is always the responsibility of the adult. The children hold no blame for what is done to them. They also did go on to say that some defence lawyers are insinuating that children as young as 6 years old may have consented to sexual abuse by a grandparent. So I think that's wrong. Not just wrong, and I mean wrong in the true sense of that word. It's a wrong word. Jenny here has said the law is wrong. Yeah, she's absolutely right. The law, it is wrong. It is wrongness. Right? And that's what I think needs to be very much aware of. So, look, I want to be careful with this topic, of course. Fuiavai, what are your thoughts there? You know, and again,
that's real simple. I know where you're going with this, and I also do want to just mention that just because something is lawful, just because it's legal, does not mean that it's moral. And this is one of the reasons why we have issues with abortion, because you've got people who believe that abortion is it's part of the law of the land, but just like anything else that's part of the law, it can be changed. So just because something is the law does not necessarily mean that it is moral. It doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do, because if you've got values, if you've got morals, if you've got anything of common sense, you can find plenty of problems and issues with many of the government policies because they don't make any sense. And so that's pretty much what I have to share in regards to that. Just because this guy passed a legal ruling on something does not necessarily mean that it's something good. Just like what happened with Roe v. Wade in the U.S., it got overturned because, laws can be overturned.
No, well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Liao, happy if you say something, happy if you don't say something. It's
I am. I'm just thinking about what has been in the news this week around bullying. Around what National has done, things that have come out of the closet, and making a huge deal out of this. And we've got this judge who says it's okay to do that, not just bully, but to force yourself on a child. Our standards have just come to an absolute low here in New Zealand, and it's absolutely disgusting that we have, on one hand, a witch hunt to try and get rid of this MP, but that the same mainstream media will just do a little clip on something that is so horrific to all of us. We've seen pedophilia, just the little clips that have come out to say, let's normalize them. They have, the same feelings. And what about our children? And this is what we've been saying about abortion this whole time. You may degrade it to nothing and degrade it to it's just, they're just clumps of cells, but they are babies. And so we're taking that same core standard into, giving the right to the abuser and not to the victim. This is craziness, and this needs to stop. This country needs to repent and, give their lives back to God, because, I saw a couple of advertising, and not advertising, but just, just sprinkles of, hey, what about cannibalism? That could be an option. We've gone to a place where it's just, something that we thought was in the dark ages that stayed there. It's all coming out now into the light and very bright. Is this what we're gonna have to the standard, or are we gonna say this is enough?
Yep. Well said. Absolutely well said. You guys out there, your comments are being very much heard. I believe it was it Cheryl Cope who said, she's written, in France there is no age restriction for the children. But that's pedophilia. I don't care. I don't care whether someone wants to call it, hebephilia, or that adolescent style one. It's you're getting into pedophilia stuff. It's just disgusting. It's wrong. It's wrong, and it needs to be stated that it's wrong. And all the wokes out there who want to just sort of be very weary of placing some sort of angle there, they're targeting your children, right? And I do truly believe. Look, you've got children being put onto strippers poles. I watched 3 separate videos today. One was of a child being encouraged by a drag queen while the child was on a stripper pole dancing like a stripper, and another one was where the child was being encouraged to put dollars into another drag queen's bra and thong, and everyone was celebrating that. And I saw another one where it was a child who was in drag, and there was a sign over there says in neon saying it's not going to lick itself. And the child was dancing to the great joy or the gleefulness of the adults around. We are living in a world where they are encouraging pedophilia and the abuse of children. That's where we're at, and you are looked upon. We need to stand up and say what you're doing is wrong. There's no, you can pretend to bring out all your nonsensical woke words of inclusionary bias and unconscious this or whatever that. That's wrong. And then we need to return to those times where there was an order about this. When we talk about order exists to say, no, you are not marrying a child. You're not hooking up with a little child in a sexual manner. All right, that's what the order is that we want. And we need to be able to be proud and fight for that sort of area. I believe Stu Cameron was in there before saying that, he was worked with a lot of them. That's right, yes, Stu Cameron, if I remember correctly, he had multiple placements as a CO, as a corrections officer, very different breed. I've come across a few in my work when I was doing youth work. Very different style of people. They are not what you think. They are generally not highly predatory, like some sort of abusive gang member sort of scenario. Usually they're a lot more manipulative, a lot more very disappear into the background, but absolutely so just shocking for a lot of this. I'll be honest, not something that I talk about too much, but I do agree with surgical castration. In some cases, as if it can be absolutely proven, I do agree with surgical castration. It's something which I know it gets a bit extreme, but it's just what I think, and when you work with it. Christine has brought up an absolutely correct point. Phil Goff, as Labour MP, wanted to drop the age of sexual consent to 12. That is correct, Christine.
And
Phil Goff
Helen
did
Clark
want
was
to.
the same?
What's that, sorry?
Didn't Helen Clark, wasn't she the one that wanted to
Well,
drop
I've
that?
heard that Helen Clark did, but I don't think she did. My understanding is that she was the one who basically was too close to an election, and therefore
Okay,
Phil Goff was
sure.
told off by Helen about the dropping the age of sexual consent. I don't think it was that they wanted to drop it or didn't want to drop it. I think it was simply votes. And Phil Goff, he didn't even apologise for it, by the way. He did not apologise for it. I remember what he wrote. He wrote along the lines of something like, the people of New Zealand have been receiving a wrong message or something like that, that it's not, whatever the message was, he was trying to palm it off. He did not apologise for it. He should never have done it anyway. And his argument was that it wasn't, so the argument was that it wasn't like the 45-year-old pedophile suddenly could have sex with the 12-year-old. It was basically dropping it from that so that the idea around statutory rape elements could be sort of removed. That's sort of where it was going. But I don't think there's anyone could really think that the way in which Labour does stuff is they break it first and then they gap it in. So if you look at gay marriage, they never went for gay marriage directly because they knew that too many people found that marriage is about procreation and it's about the kids and the family unit, So when Labour went for it, they didn't go straight for it. Instead, they would say, hey, look, we just want civil unions. Hey, man, just give us civil unions. Everyone knew it was a farce, but they got it through anyway. And then after that, that's when they pushed in, then they got the marriage. All right, and now, of course, they're going for the kids, well, wholesale. Which also reminds me that's also there's going to be elements of that in the adoption law changes coming up, which is going to be really, really important to have a look at. So when you look at that, when Phil Goff did do that thing with 16 to 12, I'm not saying directly that he was after that whole pedophile aspect, but we know damn well that that pedophilic environment would become accurate underlay because that's what they do. Right? They breach the laws for it to get more and more extreme. So I just think that's disgusting. Thank you guys, and thank you out there. You guys are being that can be quite a heavy topic. Fuiava, I know we've gone so far over the limit. Fuiava, we've only probably got a few minutes, but can you tell us what's coming up now? There's something happening on Sunday, I believe, but look, the time is yours. Tell us what's going on, and is there something happening on Sunday or Saturday or next week?
Sunday night. So Sunday night at 6 p.m. In Mangere Bridge, I'm going to be speaking at I'll be giving a presentation at the church over there. It's the address is 7 Mahunga Drive. 7 Mahunga Drive, 6 p.m. Sunday. I'll be giving a presentation. The title of, or the theme of the night is, it's biblical, it's not political. And in that presentation, I believe something just to, I guess I need to go back a little bit just so that people can understand where I'm coming from with this is each of us, Elliot, Leao and I, we are all Pacific Islander Christians. We're all born again believers. And because of that, we all believe that we have moral values that we draw from the Bible. And it's very much like people in our community, the Pacific Island community, that we're able to speak along those lines. And what I'm hoping to do is to kind of open the eyes of our Pacific people to see what's going on, because a lot of the things that are taking place, we're talking, even though that case that you brought up, Elliot, about the sexual predator, that guy he was a Pacific Islander, and those children were Pacific Islanders. Many people in the Pacific Island community are not really aware of the same kind of issues that we're talking. They don't know they don't talk about abortion in the same way that people talk about abortion outside of the Pacific community. There are a lot of things that are kind of what I would say taboo to us. But it's because of that very nature that we are being taken advantage of by certain political parties. And they're actually taking advantage of our naivety in these areas. And this is the reason why I believe it's time for someone to step up and speak out. Here in Talanoa, we're not just all about trying to talk from this platform. We actually go out and to the community and we do stuff like this. So this is something I felt the Lord put on my heart to do. And for that reason, I'm going to be doing this presentation at 6 o'clock. And as I said, the theme is it's biblical, not political. But you'll be hearing a lot of things that people would probably consider to be political. Only I will be using the Bible to apply the reasons as to why our people who are conservative Christian believers should not support certain government policies that are non-Christian. And
so if we have what's the address again? Do you have any promo that we might be able to put up for those who are interested to attend?
I actually sent the promo. You guys.
So you've got one?
It was sent to our messenger thing.
Great. So no problem. So we'll be able to put that up once you get that sorted through. Absolutely great. And I believe so that's from 6 p.m. is it?
It's from 6 p.m. on Sunday night. Yeah.
This Sunday night, 6 p.m. And that's at 7 Mahunga Drive?
7 Mahunga Drive, Mahunga.
Mahunga.
Mahunga Drive.
And Mangere.
In Mangere Bridge.
Mangere Bridge. Gotcha.
Yes. so it's called Livingstone's Church.
All right, great. Well, you've provided a little promo there, so we will make sure that we get that out to everyone in there. Thank you so much. I think that's really, really good. That's excellent. In the meantime, we'll finish off with a quick prayer, and then we'll make sure that we get there. Oh, a question has come up, which I think is a very good question. Is, Fuawa, would it be possible to video your presentation? Is that a possibility? Can we do that?
Do you know that there's a lot of people, because I did a radio program and I was promoting this, but it was on a Samoan radio station. And I just want to let everyone know that I'm going to be speaking in Samoan as well as English because I can speak both. I was asked, that was one of the biggest comments that people were making, is that some people were watching from outside of New Zealand. They were in Australia or the United States, and they were all saying they would like to see what's going to happen on this presentation. So I would have to talk to someone. Maybe I'm not.
All right,
I
we'll
don't
see if
have
we can get some.
control
We'll
over
get some. We'll see if we can get some video recording on that, and that'll be great. I think. So awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so guys, we're going to finish up there. We want to thank you so much for joining in. We absolutely appreciate it. We're going to finish it in a bit of a different way. I'm going to say a quick prayer, and then I'm going to put a video on. Hopefully it works, and just see what you think, see what you feel. And the video that I'll be showing came out just a few hours after the raid on the Trump residence in Mar-a-Lago, or wherever.
Wow. Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago. Cool
Yes.
name. All right, but in the meantime, dear Lord, thank you so much for every day that you've given us breath. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to love, to be loved, to forgive ourselves, to forgive each other, and to do things which are right for our people, for our future, for our children's children. We thank you every single day for our lives that you've given us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it. And we'll be back again real soon, no doubt. In the meantime, God bless you. God bless New Zealand.
Thank you.
We are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in over 40 years, where the stock market just finished the worst first half of a year in more than 5 decades. We are a nation that has the highest energy cost in its history, and we are no longer energy independent or energy dominant, which we were just 2 short years ago. We are a nation that is begging Venezuela and Saudi Arabia for oil. We are a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the finest military equipment in the world. We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people, and it will only get worse. We're a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement against the opposing political party like never before. We've never seen anything like this. We're a nation that no longer has a free and fair press. Fake news is about all you get. We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant like never before, where the economy has been collapsing, where more people died of COVID in 2021 than in 2020. We are a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon and China to use the trillions and trillions of dollars it's taken from the United States to build a military to rival our own. We are a nation that over the past 2 years is no longer respected or listened to all around the world. And we are a nation that is hostile to liberty and freedom and faith. We are a nation whose economy is floundering, whose stores are not stocked, whose deliveries are not coming, and whose educational system is ranked at the bottom of every list. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. but soon we will have greatness again. It was hard-working patriots like you who built this country, and it is hard-working patriots like you who are going to save our country. There is no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot beat. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. Ever, ever, ever. We will never give in. We will never give up. And we will never, ever back down. We will never let you down. As long as we are confident and united, the tyrants we are fighting do not stand even a little chance. Because we are Americans, and Americans kneel to God and God alone. And it is time to start talking about greatness for our country again.